Software is getting slammed. Dan Ives over at Wedbush telling clients the software Armageddon is here. Dan always has an ear for the dramatic, of course. What do you make of it? I mean, do you look at this and say, Rishi, and this is the sector you know so well, do you say, you know what? This reaction, it's fair, it's reasonable, or do you say this is an overreaction, mass hysteria? Where are you on this?
Yeah, and I hate to give out the cop-out answer, but the answer is it's somewhere in between. There is reality behind all this AI hype. I see all the new announcements out of Claude and OpenAI, and I'm just spellbound how amazing this technology is and how quickly it's evolving. At the same time, I think this idea that AI is the death of software is absolutely wrong. And I would say as a whole, this pullback is a huge overreaction. I think it's presenting some really great buying opportunities, but I think we need to put on our thinking caps and really scrutinize what are the companies that are going to recover the best. Like, this is the opportunity to invest in quality. Quality doesn't mean size. Quality means innovation. That is the biggest mode I think we have now.
And is the central concern here, Rishi, if we boil it down, that we think companies are now going to build their own unique, powerful AI agents, and they're going to perform the work of the traditional software tools? Is that it?
I think it's a combination of two things. One of them is exactly that you can use these vibe coding tools, you can use Cursor, Claude Code to build your own CRM, or at the very least, don't unplug your CRM, but all the functionality around it, you can surround it with your own custom-built AI agents. The second worry is that a lot of this functionality will get subsumed into OpenAI and Anthropic as platforms. You saw this morning, Anthropic made a bunch of new announcements, sent what was viewed as the more insulated area of software, cybersecurity, sent a bunch of those stocks down this morning because they talked about security.
On that news, I wanted to touch on with you on that anyway. OpenAI, so let's just bring viewers up to speed. They launched a new enterprise platform called Frontier. That is Sam Altman going hard after those business customers. Initial customers include some names you know very well, Intuit, right? Then Anthropic, its latest AI model, per Axios, looks like an inflection point, they say, for how AI tools can help cyber defenders. When you see these headlines dropping from OpenAI, from Anthropic, how do you try to think through, okay, what this means for the software sector?
Yeah, I would say two things. Number one is, well, what is the value of all of these LLMs and all this AI technology if it's not actually being productized at the application level? And one company can't do everything. They can't know sales and marketing in depth. They can't know financials in depth, and especially vertical, if we think about industry-specific software. So that's piece number one that I would say. Piece number two is, this almost reminds me of the early days of AWS, where every time AWS would make an announcement, it would send all these software stocks down 10, 15%. Guess what? Amazon has a good observability solution. Datadog's still doing incredibly well. They have a database. MongoDB is still doing really well. They have a data warehouse. Snowflake is still doing really well. And I think we need to think about this. It's not a zero-sum game. And all of this is actually TAM expansive. The amount of money we as a society spend on software is going to grow meaningfully because we can do so many things we couldn't do before in a more efficient manner. And I think that's going to come out of OpEx.
So as we think through this as investors, listen, we're forecasting, we're estimating, we're bringing out our crystal balls. But when you went through this earnings season, right, you were going through the conference calls, you were listening to the results of these software names, Rishi, were you seeing actual hard downward revisions? Were you hearing CEOs and CFOs saying, I am cutting guidance because of AI?
I'm glad you bring that up. In spite of how apocalyptic this may feel, numbers aren't coming down. Numbers are actually going up. My Microsoft numbers went up. My colleague who covers ServiceNow, his numbers went up, right? And that was the day that led to kind of this most recent stage of bleeding. And that tells me that this is all terminal value risk. In other words—
And what do you mean by that, terminal value risk?
Yeah. Ultimately, what it's telling me is investors are effectively thinking these will turn into shrinking businesses. They may be growing now, they may be growing next year, but you're at the valuations that we're looking at for some of these names, you have to assume that they're going to be declining by 5% in perpetuity, which I think is highly, highly unlikely no matter what happens. And that's where I think it's creating some bargain opportunities. But if you can get something where it's pricing in that kind of black swan scenario, but also has innovation where the opportunities with AI massively outweigh the threats, then I think there's really—
It's tough though, Rishi, because you can have a story take hold. You can have a narrative take hold. And AI is the death of software. If that story takes hold, it overwhelms the fundamentals. What do you do with that as an investor?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's exactly right. And look, the story a year ago was AI is going to be the biggest tailwind for all of software in human history, right? And we've seen how quickly these narratives can reverse course. Look, what I think needs to happen is we can build our shopping list. We don't necessarily have to pull the trigger right now. No one knows how to call the bottom. But what I would say is this: as we start to see evidence of these innovative companies that actually can not only build AI SKUs, but actually get customers to use them, to get value out of them, to get them to spend more time in their platform, not less, as a result of this. That's a great leading indicator for future monetization.
Let's end here with some places where you say, you know what, there is opportunity. Let's go through some names quickly. HubSpot. Now that is down, Rishi, about 70% over the past 12 months. One, what explains that shelling? Two, why do you say this one's a buy?
Yeah, absolutely. So HubSpot is down because it's SMB software, it's sales and marketing, there's worries about seat-based models, all of that sort of stuff. I take a step back and I say, look, I understand that. There are real threats here. SMBs are more likely to build their own solutions or at least switch. At the same time, I think HubSpot has so much innovation at their backs. They have a unified platform that combines sales, marketing, service, commerce, operations, all organically built on a single platform, which means a single data layer that makes all the AI very actionable. I think they've put real thought leadership. They were talking about agent marketplaces before any of us were. And so I think the opportunities for them hugely outweigh the threats.
What about MongoDB? Now it's dropped around 20% this year. Most analysts who cover this one do like it. They say it's a buy. You do too. How come?
I think MongoDB presents a very flexible database that is going to be the platform of choice for building these net new AI applications, especially those leveraging unstructured data. And that tailwind has not shown up in numbers yet. But they already have Cursor as a customer, Relevance AI as a customer. They just signed Anthropic as a customer. And so a lot of these leading AI companies, I think, will turn to MongoDB because they present the best standalone non-relational database out there.
Finally, I'll squeeze one last one here. Intuit, down around 30% already this year, rough. You say buy it.
I think this is one of those where the opportunities are huge. If I think about the core TurboTax, yes, there are going to be a subset of people who say, I'm just going to use free tax software and use ChatGPT or Claude to help me through it. But the opportunity to have AI embedded in TurboTax to start disrupting H&R Block, to start disrupting your CPA down the street. Same with QuickBooks, the ability for Intuit to build agents that can actually help you close your books faster, more accurately, and save money in that process, maybe not even need an external third-party accountant. I think those opportunities are huge, and Intuit, I think, is an innovative company.
Rishi, it is always great to see you, especially live in person on set. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.